Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. In this one, I am prepping my hair for faux locks, and that's going to be a separate video. But before I get into anything else, before we get into the music and all of that, I just want to know, do you like your hair? Do you like your type 4, tightly coiled, kinky hair? Do you find it beautiful? Do you care about it at all to really learn how it grows and how it maneuvers and how it moves? Do you care to understand it and study it and not diminish it or degrade it because it doesn't operate the same way other hair textures operate? I asked this question because this year alone, I've read so many articles and I've watched so many videos of people, mainly women, talking about the pros and cons to this type of textured hair. And honestly, the cons outweigh the pros because so many women find this hair texture to be tedious. And I won't lie, it does require a lot of time and care. And I have not, I'm not anyone's beautician or cosmetologist, but I'll have to say that I feel that this hair texture, out of all the other hair textures, does require a lot more time, energy, and effort, simply because it is more tightly coiled and it is kinkier and it is a lot more heavier, especially if you have thick hair. There's just so much that goes into prepping your hair. And when you live in areas or elements where the weather is not always favorable towards this type of textured hair, you have to deal with a lot of frizziness and shrinkage, and overall you might not be able to get the desired hairstyle that you want. And if you do get it, you might only be able to wear the hairstyle for like 5 minutes tops because our hair is so special. However, even with all of those things considered, I have to tell y'all how much I love my kinky, tightly coiled type 4 hair. It is a game changer. I love it. Not only has it given me some extra muscles in my arms, but it just, every time I take my hair down for my protective styles, and we'll get to that in a second, but every time I take my hair down for my protective styles, it's like I fall in love all over again with my hair because it's my hair and this is my hair texture, and I am not embarrassed or ashamed about it. And I guess most of that is rooted in the fact that when I did go natural, I went in with a realistic expectation of how my hair would look. While I was relaxed for a great majority of my life, whenever my new growth would come in, I knew that my new growth was not loose or wavy. It was very kinky. And that's why, when my perms specifically would be put on my hair, whenever my mom would apply them, she'd have to make sure it sat a couple minutes because my hair was so coarse. A lot of times it would resist the new growth, would resist the straightening because it was just that kinky. It was just that strong. It was just that tightly coiled. So realizing that then helped me shape a picture in my mind of how my hair would look once I did go natural. And I'm talking about back when the natural hair community became a real thing. I had an understanding based off of how my hair did with the perms that I wasn't going to have a Barbie doll or a Pocahontas type of hair experience. My hair was going to be a little bit more on the rough side. And I was okay with that. I felt like other people were okay with that too. I honestly thought everybody just knew what we were doing when we did this. And over time, I found out that we didn't. And so many people, I don't know if I've already mentioned this because I've been doing this voiceover a minute now, but so many people felt when they went natural that their hair would look like that of a Barbie doll texture or Pocahontas or even a looser, more exotic wave pattern or type pattern. And as our hair began to grow out and we saw that that wasn't a thing, that is where I feel like the problems started to come in. We ran and we got our products and we thought that the products would help us to manipulate our hair and that would satisfy us. But over time, the products, although they did alter our hair and add more shape and definition to our curl patterns, we ultimately found that we still weren't satisfied because you have to put on those products in order to achieve those types of looks and results. And so for many people, they just got frustrated and now they're like, I don't even care anymore. Now we're just keeping our hair straight or doing other types of styles to come against or combat this type of hair texture right here. And that is where protective styling comes in. I am a stickler for protective styles because my lifestyle requires me to have them. I believe in professionalism in the workplace, and I don't believe that you should walk into the workplace with your hair any old kind of way, just wearing any kind of hairstyle. I feel like we should give as much attention to our hairstyling as we do our clothes and our speech and other things. Our hair is one of the biggest things that people notice and see about us whenever we step on the scene, outside of our clothing, outside of the way that we conduct ourselves behaviorally. Our hair is speaking for us as well. So when we go into the workplace, there should be professionalism. However, the protective styling, I feel like, also got a short end of the stick with many people, because when you're looking at hair textures and you're doing protective styling that, again, does not mimic how your hair texture is, you can kind of get lost in that fantasy world of loving that hair texture and imagining yourself in it. But then when you remove that protective styling and you look back in the mirror and your hair looks like this, you're reminded all over again that your hair doesn't measure up to that particular protective style. When the natural hair movement began, we had so many people who, if we were being honest, went natural because we thought our hair was going to look like anything but what we see now on your screen. We thought we were going to have that exotic look, and oh my gosh, watch out, pump your brakes, here I come. And when we turned around and our hair was like this, shrunk all the way up to the root and nape of our neck, we said, we don't want to do that. And then, we started straightening it and silk pressing because that was going to show off our length. And then we started bumping into heat damage and realizing that we can't just put the flat iron in our head anytime we want, because, we can burn our hair up or we can damage it. And then you have to start over and do another big chop. So we just was like, okay, this hair texture is just not for me. And I know it's growing out of my head. I know God gave it to me, but I'm gonna just be on my soapbox for a minute and just let it be known that I really do not like this hair texture. And that is why I want to say that I feel like most of us entered into this game without being realistic. We weren't very realistic. We weren't. I knew my hair was going to be like this in part, not in totality, but in part, because when my mama would perm my hair from the time I was a little girl up until I was grown and did this, my new growth was always really coarse. It was always really kinky, and it always fought against the perm formula. Whenever she would apply it to my new growth, she would have to let my hair sit a couple more minutes just for that new growth to finally lay on out. Because when I tell y'all that new growth would be fighting against that no-lie relaxer, and it told that no-lie relaxer, I will not lay down and get straight for you, I'm just not going to do it. Yeah, it fought. It put up a real good fight. So I knew my hair was not about to look anything outside of what I expected it to look like, which is how it is right now. Was I ready for the work? No, but I did understand that my hair texture would be something like this. And that's why I'm saying I don't think many of us went into it with that reality. We looked and we saw other people, and when YouTube became a thing and we had different men and women getting on here filming themselves doing their hair, and most of it was edited pieces. Sometimes, not everybody, but sometimes most of the YouTubers weren't showing the actuality of things. They weren't talking about the time and the consistency and the development and the discipline that's needed for this type of hair texture. So we went into it head first, not really understanding what all this was going to require. And even then, when we did get that, we still complained, because at the root of it all, it's just a dissatisfaction with our hair texture, our hair type. We don't like it. We would like for it to be different. Even with all of the different investments that we've had people sit down and talk about the beauty of our hair texture, similar to what I'm doing now. And you still have people who walk away from the videos, they walk away from the table, from the news article, still feeling the same way. So that is more of an internal battle that you have to deal with for yourself. That's why I started out the video asking the question about your hair. It has to be bigger than social media, because I feel like sometimes social media can be used as a cover or a concealing method to hide how we truly feel about our hair, because we know it sounds appropriate to say I love my hair, I love this type, but inwardly we feel a totally different way about it. And over time, that will eventually show. You can only hide it for so long until the reality or the truth is brought to light. And I want to encourage you to really sit down. If you feel indifferent about your hair, especially if you've grown up in communities or environments where your hair texture is talked about, which 100% we know that exists, and we know that that's a thing. I won't even sit here and act like it's not, because so many of us grew up in areas where if you didn't have the status quo hair texture or hair type, or if you don't have it, then you are looked at differently. You're ridiculed and you're talked about, and you're often encouraged to go and do different things to your hair to alter it and make it look more appealing or appeasing. But if you're watching me and if you've been on my channel, I know I just started out really posting this year. You will see the time and dedication that I try to give to my hair. When I tell you I could care less what people have to say about my hair texture, I really could care less. This is so beautiful. It mimics that of a tree. If you've ever passed a tree that's just super green and it's super lush and it's super full, this type of hair texture, especially when it's in its afro format, it mimics that. And I just feel like it's the hand of God showcasing how beautiful and how voluminous and how strong and resilient our hair is. And I will not take a step down on it just because this is not the hair texture that is desired by other people. Folks can only make you feel bad about what you allow them to make you insecure about. If you walk into the room, or even if you're posting on social media or whatever you're doing or however you're doing it, and you are confident and you are happy to be this way and have this hair texture, then it's nothing that anyone can say to you to break it, because you understand your hair. You understand this is your hair texture. You're not trying to put this on anybody else, but you're also not allowing anyone else to put their stuff on you. We all have different hair textures for a reason. That's because God chose to do this. Now, was he robbing some of us by giving some of us an easier pass with our hair than others? No. God is just versatile and he's beautiful. And this world is greatly if you take a look outside of your window, you'll notice how different nature is. Everything in nature does not look the same. There's different colors, there's different shapes. Even when you get into the animals and the insects, nothing looks the same. Nothing acts the same. So why should our hair all look the same way? What a boring life that would be if we all walked around with straight hair, same color, if we all had the same type. It would be so boring. I know I would just be like, ugh, what's new? What can we do differently? That is the beauty of natural hair. We all have different levels and textures and types, but at the end of the day, it's natural and it is beautiful. And so I hope what I said has inspired you a little bit more to, even if you decide to go back to relaxers, trust me, it ain't no hate over here because I love relaxers. So this is not that type of channel. This is not that type of situation. I'm just trying to encourage you to love your coils, love them, and at least try to give them one more chance before you throw in the towel. And don't do the perm or any protective styling for that reason to hide your hair, to hide the texture, because you don't like it, you're ashamed or you're embarrassed about it. Do protective styling or do the perm because, hey, you just feel like this is the season. That season of natural life is over and now you're ready to go back to being relaxed, or you just feel like you're more of a wig or a sew-in girl. And hey, that's just how you're going to rock it. But at the end of the day, don't get it twisted. I love my natural hair. Then be that and do that. But just don't be ashamed about it. This hair texture, it is so beautiful. It is so versatile. You can mix it and move it. By now you've been watching me for the past 14 minutes do my hair, and you see how beautiful and texturized it is and how it's flowing with me. This hair type loves moisture, it loves water, it loves products that's going to infuse it and build it up. And once you give it what it needs, you got what you got, and you're going to get what you need too, because your hair is going to give in. It's going to give you what you put into it. If you don't put anything into it, well, you're not going to get anything out of it. But when you put time and effort into your hair, into loving your hair and treating it as the delicate, beautiful beautiful flower that it is, then you will begin to see results, and then you'll see your perspective begin to change about your hair. So I said that all to just say this: love your hair. Don't be ashamed about it. Rock it. Do whatever you want to do to it, because at the end of the day, it's your hair. But please, please, please don't be ashamed of it. All right, I think I've talked enough. I will finish this out with some music, and stay tuned for the next video, because that's where I'm going to be doing the faux locks. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I love y'all so much. Bye.